Once you've bought your domain name, check to see that you can transfer it to another provider. One of the things I'm going to give you suggestions, when you buy your domain name, don't get hooked up for the hosting service at the same time. That's like buying a car from Ford and getting Ford car insurance and Ford financing for the car. You don't want to do that. You want to keep those things independent, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. Now, I want to expand on this point about keeping your hosting service separate from your domain registrar. Does anybody know Angie, who was in BCS 555 a couple years ago? All right. Angie and also Jeff had a couple of examples of why you should keep your domain name separate from the hosting service. So let me show you an example of what happens. If you go to a hosting domain name retailer, I'll show you an example here. We'll go to internic.ca. And when you go to this page, there's a little box there that allows you to type in domain names. So we'll type in, let's say, Sherpa. Now we know that's going to be taken, right? So click on search. And it comes up and it's taken, right? So you can't buy it. But if we went back to the main page, you would see here that what they're offering is when you buy the domain name, they also want to hook you up for hosting as well. That's how they make the money. It's the same thing with the cell phone companies. The cell phone companies, the reason why they give you the BlackBerry for free if you sign up for 3 years is they'll eventually end up making $150, $200 a month on you when they start sending all these text messages and emails and downloading content, right? So that's why they want to give you the phone for free. It's the same thing with domain name hosting and the domain name registration, right? What they want to do is to get you to host the website with them and buy the domain name from them. You don't want to do that. Here's the reason why. When you buy your domain name, you may do all kinds of things with it. Add a lot of music files on there. Put some images. All of a sudden you get bandwidth and traffic on the website. All kinds of people are hitting it. So your hosting service may then start to charge you more money. It's like when you have a cell phone and you start to make longer calls and calls that have more content in them because you're transferring images and files, right? So then you decide after a while, well, I'm going to keep my BlackBerry, but I'm going to switch from TELUS to Rogers. But Rogers is going to tell you that, oh, you can't switch because you got to wait till the end of your 3-year contract or 2-year contract or so on, right? So that can be very challenging. It's the same thing when you buy your domain name. You just want to buy the domain name and that's it. You say, I'm going to do my hosting separate. Because if you decide after a period of time that based on traffic on the website or these types of things that you want to switch to a different hosting service that's got a cheaper rate, or maybe you find that Warren's got a gig going with Rogers that he can get you a special discount, 20 gigs for $19 a month, unlimited transfers and so on. If you were locked in with your hosting with Bell Simpatico for the next couple of 24 months, and you wouldn't be able to switch to Rogers, right? So if you have your hosting service and the domain registrar the same entity, they will make it difficult for you to switch, and you don't want to do that. So, going back to this explanation, in the case of this student, Jeff, Jeff and his buddies living out in Pickering Ajax had a little garage band, had some musical talent, were playing some songs, and they bought a domain name. They called their band, I think it was Salem South. Because they lived on Salem Street in Pickering. And they started putting up songs, and they got hits. Thousands of hits. They weren't really expecting that. So they decided to try to transfer to a cheaper hosting service, but the domain registrar didn't want to let them. So you don't want to be held to ransom that way.